On this episode of Star Trek Universe, we're going to talk about that Strange New Worlds trailer that just dropped, as well as Picard episode 205, Fly Me to the Moon, and we've got a little bit of feedback. Right after these words from our mystery sponsors.
Welcome to Star Trek Universe, the podcast where you get to listen in on the continuing Star Trek conversation two lifelong friends have been having since they were 6 years old. My name's Matthew Carroll.
I am David C. Robertson.
Hey Dave, how you doing tonight?
In pain. I'm dying.
I feel like that's way too often your answer.
Yeah, I mean, I got like a little shoulder back thing going on, and it's like, I'm always like in that mode of like, oh God, maybe this time it's the heart attack.
Oh man, that's rough. That is rough. I do know you, and I do know that is the way you think.
But I'm super excited. I went to a thrift store today, and there is a book that Andrew Robinson wrote called A Stitch in Time. He's the guy that played Garak, and the book is from Garak's perspective, writing a letter to Dr. Bashir. And it was like number 27 of the DS9 novels. It's out of print. When you look at it, look for it online, you can find it for like $160 to $300.
Wow.
I found it at a thrift store for $2 today.
That's amazing, dude.
So I'm really excited about that. And go ahead and say your thing now.
I couldn't say my thing now. Well, you were talking about being hurt, and I was just going to say that, we had a gig yesterday, and it was a really long day, and our sound guy had a gig earlier in the morning, and he messed up his ankle. And so with no notice, I had no sound guy. Of course, all good vibes toward that sound guy. Hope he's doing well.
Sure.
But yeah, we had no sound guy, which meant I had to do double duty of sound guy and band leader and all the other jobs. And so I was running around setting up sound systems. And then on top of that, my roommate parked in front of my trailer, and I couldn't reach him to move the car.
What was he, like really far away?
The problem is, if his car is in front of the trailer, I can't pull my car to pick up the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to deadlift my trailer, my like 2,000 pound trailer. Obviously it's on a fulcrum, so it's not like I'm not lifting 2,000 pounds, but I had to deadlift my trailer and move it by hand by myself. And it just, my shoulders and back are just so sore. From deadlifting the trailer multiple times to get it angled out so that I could pull my car up to it.
That sucks, man.
Yeah.
If it happened. It's a little suspect.
It happened, my friend.
It's a little suspect.
I mean, it's not that heavy, but I'm not saying it's impressive. I'm saying it just sucked.
Nah, you were like chomping at the bit to be like, I deadlifted a trailer, a whole trailer.
Just the front end of the trailer, not the whole trailer.
You're like eyes rolled in the back of your head, and you're like, I am Moon Knight.
Take over, Mark. Take over.
Oh no, it's the idiot.
I freaking loved Moon Knight, man. It's so good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I can't wait for next week. Okay, well, let's get into Star Trek. First off, this trailer, right?
Yeah,
Strange New Worlds, new trailer.
Yeah. Man, those hairstyles are not growing on me.
Oh yeah, I don't notice or care about that.
I think Stu Little was terrifyingly accurate when he messaged me and said, okay, Chris, it's time to cut the hair. You look like one of the commentators on the Hunger Games. He's just got like super short sides and just like big old floppy like Brandon Walsh 90210 hair on top. He does. He looks like Vanilla Ice, for God's sake.
That's funny. I see what you're saying, but I guess it doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it wasn't going to be like, this will ruin the show. But, it's like, just one of those like, what are y'all doing?
That's not regulation, sir. That's not regulation.
This is weird. This is a weird choice.
I dig it. I like the vibes of this trailer more than anything. I like the sort of like comedy that happens when he like lands in the middle of those negotiations, and he's like, "Hi, I like the awkwardness and just, they're really trying to evoke that sort of 60s fun of the original series, while updating it clearly a lot.
Yeah.
It reminds me of just some of the more fantastical sci-fi we've seen. And I dig it.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see like who this is Spock is like getting down with. I'm assuming it's T'Pring. Because they did show her in relation to him being on Vulcan doing another one of those I can't remember what it was called, the blood rituals or the fighting, from a muck time. I don't know. I don't know how to feel. I don't know what I'm thinking. I'm really excited to watch it. I think it's I love the idea that like the feeling of awe and the feeling of exploring and seeking out the new things. And I think it looks really dope. I just
I agree, man.
Ooh, what does it mean? How does it fit? What is what is this show?
Yeah, and we talked about it. We might try to do later in the week, do a frame by frame look at this trailer, because I think there's so much to look at. Like every frame is, I want to talk about every one of these frames and talk about like what is going on here and what do we think about this new. I'm assuming a lot of this is on the Enterprise, and like the new sick bay looks huge.
It does. Everything in the Enterprise looks huge. Like just like on Discovery, it's just like, Jesus God, what happened here? It's like a Sam's warehouse.
I don't care as much about the ship design, especially lining up with the original and stuff as much as you do. But I'm really curious to see if they will continue the trend that they established in Discovery Season 2, where they like brought a lot of things into line,
Yeah, well, more than it lining up with the original series, I care about the fact that it's like the Enterprise and Discovery are both clearly just bigger on the inside. They're the freaking TARDIS at this point.
Yeah, no, there's definitely something to that for sure. And then that kind of comes from the 2009 movie,
Yeah, a little bit.
They literally shot it in like a big warehouse brewery or whatever. It was like the inside of the ship. Instead of feeling kind of cramped, which has always been the way with the ships,
This one does sick bay look like freaking that shuttle hangar.
Right.
But it's cool, man. Whatever. I get it. I do love the shots of the ship, like, in a planet's actual sky, like flying like just below the cloud line. Like that's just dope. I really loved it in the original series when they did that in Return to Yesterday, I think, where they're like fight. I think that was the name of the episode. My brain. I'm not all here, y'all. But they've got like the guy in the fighter pilot. The fighter pilot flying around them and whatnot, and you can see it from the ground. I don't know. I dig that. It really brings it into perspective, and it's cool to just like have that like extra air of reality. You can like look up on like a normal day sitting in traffic and just imagine the Enterprise flight like floating above you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I dig all that.
You're bringing up something exactly that ties into what we were just talking about with the ship being like the TARDIS or whatever, bigger on the inside.
Yeah.
Like one of the things that is cool about Star Trek is that they have these like, technical manuals. You can go and like look at what the ship looks like, and how it all fits together and how the different like decks and stuff fit together. And I think that's so much fun,
I don't think they've released one since Discovery came out.
Right, exactly. No, I'm saying like back in the day, we kind of had that, and it feels a little less like that's important to this newer generation, I'm not such a stickler that I care too much, but I do think that that's something that someone, especially like yourself, like really gets into. And I know you did as a youngster, look at all these technical manuals and stuff.
Oh yeah. I like the technical. I've got some technical manuals. I'm not like Rick over on Starbase 66, who calls himself a ship wonk, but, Rick's a good guy. Check out Starbase 66.
Nice.
Or that Star Trek podcast, which I will be on tomorrow night.
Yeah.
I don't know. I do like, it does make it feel more real when I can watch a TV show and then go to the store and like literally buy a technical manual that tells me like where everything is.
Mm-hmm.
Like I dig that. I miss that. And but yeah, it's fine. I get what they're doing. I know what they're doing. It's all right.
Yeah,
kind of.
Well, we'll see. Maybe they will. Maybe they will release those things. And I would like to see how that works out. I mean, there's enough room in the saucer section. I mean, I remember, back in TNG or whatever, it's like, hey, deck 36 or whatever. Like, there's a lot of space in there,
Yeah.
If they just combine a few of those decks into some of those massive spaces, I mean, you mentioned the shuttle bays have always been huge. And so it's possible to have those bigger rooms. It's just a matter of making them all fit together in a way that would work in a technical manual. I don't know.
Yeah, the main thing would be like the turbo lift, the gigantic like turbo lift chasms.
Yes, agreed. That's what I was about to mention. Like the end of season 3, I believe it is in Discovery, when it's just like insane zipping around or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, I think this trailer, just the vibe is spot on for what I want. Like it's funny, it's inspirational. It's all about like Starfleet and like being the best of Starfleet and trying to do the thing. And I'm excited, man.
Yeah, man, it's got spaceships and blowings up and diplomacy and Spock tapping an ass.
all those things you love about Star Trek.
It's got a horse.
Wagon train to the stars, indeed.
It should look like 310 to Yuma. The Hateful Eight up in this bitch.
All those things we've always loved about Star Trek. The horses.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Every one of those things.
I joke, but like I do love that when they, tie Kirk to his like upbringing and stuff, and when they go back in generations, when they go and he's like riding horses and stuff.
I thought you were gonna say tie him to his bedpost.
Why? Why would I say that?
Because we have Spock getting down with some, lady. I don't know.
I'm talking about like tying it back to Earth, like making it feel like these people that are out in the frontier of space have these ties back to the world. That's something they do a lot in the original series. It feels like, or at least the movies, more the movies than the original series. I feel like. Maybe I'm wrong.
I do think they do that more in the movies. Like,
yeah,
I agree with you.
Okay, well, let's get on to talking about Picard, eh?
Yeah, man.
Is this episode 5? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, man. Fly me to the moon.
How is this season on episode 5 already?
Well, there's a thing called time. And some will argue it's an artificial construct, which in some ways it is. But here we are. Time has passed.
It does feel abrupt to me to be on episode 5. I feel like they were still getting this started for the season, and they were still figuring out what the season's about, and we're on episode 5. I mean, part of that is because they waited till episode 3 to do the back in time thing. So it's like,
yeah, man,
we're really just still getting our bearings in 2024, and it's just now, we're halfway through the season. It's kind of crazy.
Halfway to climax, man.
I will make no further comment on that. So let's so we got some interesting things this episode. I can't not just immediately jump to the Borg of it all, and the Jurati and the Borg. What the hell, man?
She's got a little bit of Peacemaker's dad thing going on.
Yeah,
with the Borg Queen.
A little bit.
That's a bummer and awesome somehow.
Yeah, but got some of the Borg nanites in her, and I guess they're not strong enough to just immediately assimilate her. But or whatever she's trying to do, she's infiltrated her brain in some way, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, Jurati got too close, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's a rookie move.
It is a rookie move. She's a rookie by many. They mentioned it in this episode. You could send the spy or the ranger, and you're gonna send the biologist. No, she's not a biologist. She's a roboticist.
Yeah. Look, man, she went down to that party, and I was like, dude, I told my wife, I said, okay, she looked good. She needs to get out of that damn science moo-moo they always have her in. And let her dress up a little more often.
It was a very attractive dress.
It was.
I will say. Very attractive dress.
But Yeah, man. I really like Allison Pill.
Oh, yeah.
I just think she's always really good at her acting, and I like that they're giving her so much with the Borg Queen, so much emotion to play. It's like I didn't think they would be able to really like take it up a notch from last season with her, emotion wise, and they totally did.
Yeah. And they're really playing on her like fears of loneliness and like these really feelings that feel connected to the real world, but also that loneliness makes it believable that she would do something like this. Like she seems very tempted by the Borg, I guess I should say. And like, it would be hard to understand that perspective, but because we saw her go to such dark places last season, we've already seen her like kind of play in this morally gray area, and then add that like loneliness and, lack of confidence that she has and like lack of finding a place in the world. She's exactly the kind of person that would fall to the Borg,
Yeah, absolutely. And do so willingly.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think that's, at the end of the day, I think that's what the Borg Queen wants. Like, she could assimilate her, but she doesn't, but she's lonely too. She doesn't just want to take her over. She wants her to want it.
Right. The question is, though, like, is there a Borg Queen anymore, or is it just now Jurati? I mean, like, is Jurati now the Borg Queen by all intents and purposes? That body is dead. And so, if that's the case, then now Jurati is the Borg Queen, which is a thing that there have been theories about since she was cast. You know what I mean? Because she kind of looks like her a little bit.
Well, I mean, also she's a doctor of synthetics, and I mean it makes sense. And we had our own theories about it in season 1. You can hear all about those theories on this podcast. If you just go back to last year. But, I mean, I guess if I had to guess, I would say, I guess we know why the Borg Queen on the Stargazer had that mask on, the clockwork droid mask.
Yeah, that's a good call. We could get back there and it could be Jurati.
Yeah.
Interesting. The question is this, and we're still asking the question of like, is this the past of what happened, or is this a new version of the past?
It is a past that has been altered by the alternate future,
right,
that they just came from. So it is not the actual true past of the Star Trek universe, the prime timeline. It is the altered past, and the reason there's a difference is because like the Kirk Thatcher thug on the bus, right?
Yep.
Like maybe he grabbed his neck because the Confederation version of Kirk and Spock came over there and beat his ass.
Sure.
Like things didn't happen the same way. Like Picard didn't go back to meet Guinan.
That whale thing may have all still happened.
Well, they went back to get the whale.
Right.
Or to get the whales, and then they blew those bastards out of the stars. We got your whales just to get you to stop the attack. Now, pew, pew, pew.
Yeah. We'll follow you home and kill your whale species.
Like, I want to see that version of Kirk talk to Jillian Taylor. It'd be like, just like super dark and angry Kirk. And like, I'm from Iowa, bitch. I only work in outer space.
Just add bitch to every line. Kirk just says bitch.
I mean, that's like the most evil thing I can think of.
Oh man, so let's see. We got a little bit of movement in the Rios in going to jail storyline. Getting put in Mexico or whatever.
Maybe, but they said the end of life as you know it, and it didn't seem just like going back to Mexico to me. But
yeah, they said something about the sanctuaries too. Like I don't know if they go into some sort of sanctuary districts that are similar to what we saw in DS9. I did rewatch these. I did my homework this week. I watched the Gary 7 episode and the the DS9 episodes, the two-parter.
Yeah, I didn't watch the DS9 episode. I didn't watch the Gary 7 episode. I've just been busy all week. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're fine. You knew about them regardless. I was the one that needed to do my homework, remember?
I did. Yeah, I mean, I remember, but I still wanted to do it because I like the episodes.
Yeah, and it's cool to see in the light of what's going on, and it really is interesting to see, the fact that in the DS9 episode, it's like a tech billionaire type person who Jadzia is interacting with. It kind of fits with like our current technology a little bit, although the computers look ancient, but still, certain things. It's actually really funny to see them like logging on to the net, and it's like a 1990s computer because they didn't, they're not using phones or iPads or whatever. It's funny to see a show that we grew up with looking almost as ancient as like when you go back, when we were kids watching the original series going like, yeah, computers look better than that now. And now you're looking like at a show we grew up with and we're like, ooh, this is dated, man.
What's weird is I've always had like a weird thing where like, until very recently, like when I went back, like, and watch the original series, I'm like, yeah, all right, that looks bad, but it's the original series. It's Star Trek. That's fine. That's what it looked like. It's old. And then I saw like maybe the first like 4 or 5 years of TNG as it was airing. I was going, ooh, this looks bad. And then somewhere in there, I'm just like, all right, cool. The special effects look great.
Yeah.
And I don't disagree with myself now. Like, first couple seasons of DS9, Odo looks bad. Like, why? He looks like a Capri Sun commercial.
Right. Well, yeah, I agree with that. That's effects advancement, but I'm talking about like looking at technology and where it sits in our world versus where it sits in the real world, and looking at their version of 2024 in DS9 and it being like a year I lived through 20 years ago.
Gotcha.
And it being the technology, it feels dated in that way, like, oh, they didn't envision iPads and iPhones, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's only 20 years ago. It's only like when we were teenagers,
Yeah.
It's kind of wild.
Yeah, thanks. I know how old I am.
Yeah, it feels crazy. Okay. So yeah, Rios is sprung from his jail bus by the arguing couple. They had a nice little exchange where Seven tells Raffi, you just need a target. All you ever want to do is fight. And she says, and all you ever want to do is run. That's nice. It's a nice little like dichotomy between the two of them.
Yeah. No, I'm enjoying everything with Raffi and Seven.
Yeah, for sure. And then they really went for it with the deportation ice bus with the like freeing of all of the people who were being deported or whatever, or moved to a detention facility. We just don't know really.
Yeah. Though it did get a bit of an eye roll from me when basically after they've fled the bus and Rio says goodbye to the guy, and then he just does like the very 90s hero thing where like they have a laugh and then like he turns and walks and stares into the middle distance, smiling with his hands on his hips, and they're like, okay, come on, go, let's go, we gotta go. It's like, we've got shit to do. And he's like, oh yeah. It was like, for just a second, I was like, oh, are they really doing that? He was like we did good here today. It's just, I don't know. I get that it felt like, with that little addition, felt like they were like kind of hanging a lantern on that scene, that kind of a shot, that kind of a scene. Like, dude, there's still things that we got to do. Let's go. Like,
look, we accomplished this sort of like accomplishment of the week for the episode. We freed this bus, That's
so funny. It was like eye rolling and also really enjoyable at the same time.
Yeah, man, there's so much in this episode because I'm sitting here thinking about like what all happens, and I'm like, those two things seem important. The Borg of it all, getting Rios out, but like we haven't even touched on Picard and the supervisor yet.
I know,
it's crazy. Were you excited to know that you were so right? This was a Gary 7 call out.
Of course. Part of me kind of wished that adventure had been like classified though. Like or maybe it was just it was for some period of time and then it just got declassified. But it's just I'm still like the last few weeks it's like yes, Kirk's Enterprise dealt with that. Like we've heard that a lot lately.
Yeah, we have.
So I kind of wish that like Picard would just be like, wait, what's this again? Like, oh yeah, we've dealt with you guys before.
Also, it's just kind of funny how Picard has like a encyclopedic knowledge of, a lot of times they'll do it where like they look it up on the computer. What is a supervisor? And they'll find some information, but Picard just has an encyclopedic knowledge of all of Kirk's exploits,
Well, I think if anybody would, it would be either Picard or Data,
Right.
Like,
sure.
Picard is like historian guy, so.
Yeah. For sure, but it's specifically about the Enterprise and specifically and he was the later Enterprise captain, so it makes sense. It's just kind of funny.
Yeah, like Picard, why would you know that? He's like, we had to memorize all of Kirk's old adventures just in case they needed it for sweeps. You young kids, y'all don't know what sweeps is, but
no, man,
that was a dark time. Don't worry about it.
All right. Well, what did you think? How did you think they did employing the supervisors once again?
Marginally disappointed. Like, whenever some, like, crazy extraterrestrial or, like, super weird, like, mysterious being shows up, and then they don't show us where they came from or, like, what their life looks like, it's always going to bum me out when they're just, like, hanging out in an apartment.
I thought that fit the vibe of what they did with Gary Seven, though. He's like, he's got a little office that looks very much just like an office, that he just has a few cool technology pieces that allow him to do his work. I think that, I watched that, like I said, I watched Assignment Earth this week. I think it might be the worst Star Trek episode. I like the high concept of it, but I do not like the episode at all. I think it's atrocious.
I think it is a mediocre pilot for what would probably be a bad series, but also it is a series I probably would have loved, and I still enjoyed the hell out of that episode. So it's like, it's hard for me to say I hate it. It's iconic to me. It's not like Spock's brain, which I don't even hate. I like Spock's brain. It's really bad. It's really, really bad.
Well, see, I think Spock's brain has the opposite problem. Spock's brain is a dumb conceit that might have good things in the episode. I feel like Gary Seven.
No, it's just bad all the way. Is it bad?
Yeah, I haven't seen it since we were teenagers.
Spock's brain is so bad that it's good again.
Right. It's like funny good, funny bad.
We're just like, what the hell is happening here? Like, you need weed to watch that episode, and so you could be like, what?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, that, and that's a different kind of fun. But like, I think Gary Seven, or Assignment Earth is just such a bad episode to me, because it's like, it's not a Star Trek episode. It's a Gary Seven episode or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's totally a backdoor pilot.
Yeah, for sure. But the problem is, it's not like Kirk and Picard are doing their thing and they encounter this backdoor pilot. It feels almost like they shot the pilot for Gary 7 or whatever, Assignment Earth, and then they added these interstitials where Kirk and Picard are interacting with him. Like it's so disconnected, and then there's no... my favorite thing is when characters have to make interesting decisions, and there are no interesting decisions to make in that episode. It feels like they are just paint by numbers. Like, the only interesting decision is to whether to trust him or not, and they come to no logical reason. So Spock, of all people, says, since there's no logical reason, you just have to trust your gut, Captain, or something like that. And it's like, all right. Like, it just feels like there's no reason to make any of this. No one makes... Anyway, I won't complain about Assignment Earth forever, but I think given what they, I just think it's bad. I think it's horrible, and I could go on, but sorry guys who love that episode, including yourself.
I mean, I don't care that you don't like it.
Oh, I know. I'm just sorry. I don't mean to trash something people love. I don't, not here to do that. I just think it's bad.
I'm just, sorry for you that you can't find joy in a wonderful thing. In a wonderful, mediocre thing.
Nope, I can't do it. Expect more from my Star Trek.
See, that's your problem. You should never expect anything.
Low expectations leads to enjoyment. I can say that about Morbius. I watched Morbius tonight and I had very low expectations because all the reviews were so bad. And I was like, I enjoyed it. It's like really low expectations, man.
I haven't seen it, but I think they're probably overplaying how bad that one is.
I fully think they are.
I think it's like The Purge, like the internet like needs like one movie a year to just like all out shit on.
Right.
It's like they've got to like, or like Return of the Archons. Like, it's a horribly peaceful society and everyone's very progressive, but just what's he here? We just need a movie to shit on. Mm-hmm. And act like it's the worst thing that's ever happened.
Yeah, I don't think it is anywhere near that bad. It like has its issues, but like it's actually, I think it's pretty dang good little monster movie or whatever. I liked it. But yeah, anyway, we go listen to the MCU cast if you want to hear about that.
Yeah.
I thought the implementing of the supervisor with like, I would like to see her use some like weird tech and stuff like Gary Seven did. But so far, I like that she's just living in an apartment that seems normal, that will probably have some little twists and turns as we go.
I want her to like touch a panel and then that like same like giant ass blinky computer with the voice comes out.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be great. It would be great. I'm here for it.
That's what I want. Like, just totally look 60s. They haven't done anything to make it look different.
Yeah.
Just
yep.
They've taken great pains to make it look exactly the same.
I would be happy with that. Very happy with that.
That would be hilarious.
And the last thing we haven't touched on at all is the
well, there was Sung and his daughter.
Yeah, Sung and his daughter. Yeah.
And Picard's ancestor.
Yeah. And Picard's ancestor obviously tying in pretty heavily to both those storylines, I guess, now that we know that's like what Q is doing.
Mm-hmm. I loved him as the therapist with that terrible like Freudian accent.
Yes, it was great. It was like clearly John Delancey from the moment he spoke. I was like, oh, they're doing that. And it like wasn't well done. I liked it a lot.
No. Why did they even try to hide it and be like, wait a minute, turn that camera around. I know that bad accent. It's Q. Damn it. What are you up to, Q?
Yeah, it's very funny when he shows up as a therapist. It feels like one of Q's gags where he would like appear as different characters around the bridge, but in this case, like he's using it for like actually tricking someone, which is, I don't know, it's funny.
Yeah,
it's a funny bit.
It cracked me up. It reminded me of him like showing up and being like, "Excuse me, I have a delivery for a Gene Luck Pickard."
John Luck Pickard. Yeah, so good. Yeah, man. I think it's all interesting, like the whole idea that, I mean, what is with Q? They say it, but like something is missing. He's why doesn't he just snap his fingers if he's that powerful and just remove Renee from the picture? But he can't. So he's having to operate on this very human level of like, but he still has some of his powers because he can still, create a cure for this disease. That Sung's daughter has.
Yeah. I don't know what his deal is. I don't know what the range of his powers are. I was bothered by the fact that Sung's daughter is just Soji.
I guess I wasn't bothered by it. I mean, I it makes sense to me that like, Data looking into his like bank of people. We already know that he like reused Soji multiple times in the so like let's say in the history of his in the Sung family, there's this daughter that died that was beloved, and like you could totally see a Sung descendant coding that into Data's like brain so that when Data's creating these like versions of his children, that's one of the versions that comes out.
I guess that's true. They were obsessed with everybody looking the same.
Yeah. The whole Sung family. It's actually funny you mentioned that. Like this could be the new legacy of that. Like when Brent Spiner's no longer really wanting to do it, like she could be the new Sung like archetype that they use now that we know she's part of that lineage. That's pretty funny.
I do like that Adam Sung and his great grandson, maybe, whoever was doing all the genetic augment stuff. Mm-hmm. He was also a geneticist, and he was the one that changed from genetics to positronics in Enterprise. Mm-hmm. I think it's funny, like the idea that they had a geneticist that far back who would probably just be changing his, making sure any son he had looked the same. Just like raging narcissist.
Yeah. Like, now that I've solved the problem of my daughter, let me get onto my real life's work, making my entire lineage look exactly like me.
Well, Soji did, or his daughter said something about her mother, and he was like,
"Yeah,"
and he was like, "Oh,
yep." It made me really think that there's something going on with the mother.
I don't think there is a mother. I think he grew her in a damn lab.
I agree with you completely, and I think it might be why she has the condition she has. Like, this might all be him, playing God, as it were, which is like what the Soongs have been doing for generations.
Yeah.
I dig it.
Yeah, I think I do too.
Well, those are like the main plot lines. Any big takeaways other than that from this episode?
I don't know that I had big takeaways. I liked seeing Leah Thompson in her little cameo role. And did you notice that the person she was sitting next to was it Roshenko?
No, I didn't.
That's Worf's adopted son. That's his, Worf's adoptive family. That's their name, Roshenko.
Yeah. That's rad. I remember that. Cool.
Yeah,
that's neat.
Yep. So that was cool, and I enjoyed that. And I don't know. Like, I thought it was a pretty decent episode, honestly, but I don't know that there were any like fantastic, like earth-shattering takeaways or anything.
I mean, the Borg stuff is the biggest stuff for me.
It was
the death of the Borg Queen. It's the final piece of the Borg in this particular universe, and then like its survival inside of Jurati. Oh, what do you think it meant for Renee Picard in their universe, having found what she believed to be a sentient microscopic organism on Io? Did you catch that line?
I did catch that line. I didn't know what to think of it.
I thought Borg nanites.
Yeah.
That like seems pretty like what that would be, possibly, but that would mean that this or some possible Borg infiltration is what led to the universe that we know and love. You know what I mean? Like, this version of of reality is the version that causes the future or whatever.
Yeah, that's interesting. If they're trying to... She was supposed to find that nanite, right? Or that...
Right. In the Prime timeline, she finds microscopic organisms she believed to be sentient.
Okay, so... Why would Q want to stop that from happening?
That is a great question. That is a wonderful question, and I have no idea.
I suspect it has to have something to do with that, but since they mentioned it.
Mm-hmm. Well... They do also say that like her finding that microscopic organism might lead to the world that they have, right? Mm-hmm. Somehow that is connected to what happens with the Picards going forward and what happens to them becoming the Confederation. But it also seems to have something to do with Adam Sung, since we've seen this like statue of him in the future. Oh. So are we going to get to like, now I'm thinking we're going to like solve the one problem and they're going to go back to the future and see like at the Adam Sung future.
I feel like it's not going to be any bigger than, or any more complicated really than, she's going to find that they're going to understand that sentience is greater than anything they could have imagined. So it helps mankind evolve on a level to where like when the Vulcans show up, they're ready to accept it. Though without her finding it, Zefram Cochrane pulls a gun and kills, the Vulcans when they show up or whatever, like...
Yeah, like the knowledge that sentient life is out there maybe plants something in Zefram Cochrane's mind that when he sees the Vulcans, it's not all fear. It's like a different kind of response.
Yeah, or the very least, they're like, oh, there is sentience beyond our world and it doesn't necessarily look like us. And,
Yeah. There's also this idea that, like, they're about to go into a dark period of like these nuclear wars and stuff. Like, and they talk a lot about in this episode about how the information is super spotty, you know, like what if there's a lot to this organism? What if it causes a lot of problems, you know, especially if it's a Borg organism.
I don't think it will be.
A Borganism, if you will.
Just like we're about to enter a dark period, all I could think of is like that montage from Dewey Cox of him like doing drugs and having sex and looking at the camera.
Damn, this is a dark period.
Yeah, like in the middle of having sex with a hooker. Damn, this is a dark period.
Best line in that movie. It's so good.
I don't know. I think the best line is, "Oh, the Temptations."
There's a few really good ones in there.
You don't want none of this shit, Dewey.
Really? Why? It makes you feel amazing.
Tim Meadows, man.
Tim Meadows is so good.
So good.
All right, well, I have got to get off.
Yeah, man.
This here podcast.
We'll just save the feedback for next time.
Oh, no. If you got a feedback, throw it out, man.
Okay. Well, one of them's a little long.
Okay.
So from Tim Castillo, it says, Dave, I totally agree with you. I watched this episode last year and looked it up at the time because it felt like a backdoor pilot, and it was talking about Assignment Earth. It was totally supposed to be an entire spinoff series, Gary Seven and Roberta Lincoln and Isis, who obviously becomes Selena's cat later on. Oh man, very excited. Seeing all these throwbacks, I really hope that at some point they bring back the slug aliens from TNG that nearly took over all of Starfleet Command. Absolutely, man.
Ooh, yeah.
And they were supposed to be, they were like the original Borg. That's what they were setting up. And then like they changed it to the Borg.
Yeah.
But it was still like a hive mind. Don't care what series or if it's a joke in Lower Decks, just want it. If it's already been somewhere and I missed it, I guess that's on me. Peace and long life, bit of a monkey's paw. I think they may have addressed it in a comic book, but I don't think they actually addressed it in any kind of like televised situation.
Yeah. A Lower Decks joke. I would really like a Lower Decks joke about that. That would be good.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's head gets exploded and there's just like a slug alien inside.
That would be fun.
Yeah. And they're like, oh my gosh, they killed crewman, whatever. And they're like, oh, it's okay. He was a slug alien all along. Whew. Good thing I didn't shoot a real crewman.
Shax is like, I suspected the entire time.
Yeah, exactly.
Now he will have to face his father at the Black Mountain. All right. And, yeah, man, Stu Little, and he sent this a little while ago, and I just missed it, and he asked me about it. So he's talking about Discovery's finale.
Oh, cool.
And he called it 10C Ex Machina. And he said, boring. I can't believe 2 seasons in a row they went with mysterious anomaly caused disaster, but when they find out the source is a benevolent one that didn't mean to cause all that as a plot, only this time we didn't have the Emerald Chain to balance it out with a legitimate bad guy to deal with. The 10C are cool looking and having to get over the communication barrier last season was a good plot, but I doubt we'll see them again in a major capacity, and I'm pretty over hive mind collective identity species in sci-fi at this point. It makes them pretty abstract. Well, I guess you don't want the slug creatures, Stu. It makes them pretty abstract. The big face-to-face meeting still had to be conducted via Saru translating, and it's starting to feel like a lazy way to avoid having to write interesting characters with actual personality, especially when it's some sort of antagonist or obstructive element in a story. Next season better have a full-on villain. Like you want to do a mystery? How about some unknown faction is trying to destabilize the resurging Federation with sabotage and instigating conflict between member worlds or potential ones, and the Discovery has to find out who and stop it. And maybe they have it in for Discovery personally because they recognize them as the catalyst for the Federation's comeback and figure if they take them down, it'd be a big blow to all that. I could live with the inevitable Michael is told to stand down but goes Maverick and the crew all back her unilaterally because hope speech if we got something a bit more dynamic as a story. Another thing. This season opened with the Kobayashi Maru analogy used by the president to point out to Michael that her tendency to take big risks to achieve objectives has worked mainly out of luck so far, and that if she keeps doing that, she'll eventually pay a price with the choice she makes. So I've been waiting all season for that to have a big payoff, because they set it up. Because why set it up if it's not supposed to be a thematic thing? But nothing has happened like that. Like, maybe she's been more willing to learn and listen to others after the conversation, but that's not really the same thing. A character learning from mistakes isn't as dramatically satisfying unless they actually make those mistakes. Well, she did think Book died for like half a second. Stu, he continues. Burning out the spore drive didn't really amount to much with how the 10C got them home. Note, I wrote this part of the email before that even happened in the episode. That's how predictable that was. They didn't have her. They didn't have her having to lose Book by going through with that needed to be done. I wrote this part preemptively too. They didn't even have the guts to have Michael need to order Detmer into a suicide mission, which, okay, is kind of a catch-22, because if she had, I'd have been annoyed at yet another character who needs practical makeup to be realized being written out of the show. Tarka and Nadoye, having to sacrifice themselves, except not in Nadoye's case, and for all we know, Tarka did make it to the other universe. And a moment of redemption was just a neat and tidy solution, wasn't it? There wasn't even all that much collateral damage from the DMA before it got shut down. Well, Titan got it the worst, but it's not Earth, so who cares? And are we meant to...
It was also fully evacuated,
it
right?
Was, yeah. And are we meant to accept that Book being obligated to help with DMA disaster relief is a suitable punishment for his crimes? Like, wouldn't he have probably done that anyway, being a DMA survivor himself? Overall, this season's big repercussions and changes to the world were destroying a planet we were only introduced to last year, and let's be honest, don't personally care about. Tilly leaving to go become a teacher, as she could be back next year for all we know. A bridge officer we barely know was replaced with a new bridge officer we barely know. And Saru has a girlfriend. Hiding behind a wall won't keep you safe. Oh my god, they got us with another Trump commentary. Damn them to hell. Get some new material already, genre writers. Also, what was up with the Earth president? They kind of built her up appearing with mentions of her earlier in the episode, and the way they were dramatically leading up to her reveal in the shuttle bay, I almost thought we were getting President Guinan. Like I suggested last year, but it's instead some lady we haven't seen before. Well, U.S. watchers knew who she was, some of us. Okay, is the fact that it was the Earth president supposed to make it a big deal alone? Okay, just did some digging because I suspected the casting was supposed to be significant, and it's an American politician. Cool get, but didn't mean much to me, and probably won't do a lot of other international viewers. I just am very thankful for Picard and Prodigy right now. I mean, look, man, Stu's from I'm scared to say it because he corrected me on how to say it. Glasgow. I said it wrong somehow the last time, and he pointed that out to me.
I've always heard it as Glasgow, but who knows? I'm sure that's not the way the locals say it. Glasgow,
yeah.
Maybe.
Either way, I like the perspective of being like, oh yeah, hey, by the way, you have a whole world full of people watching. Maybe an American politician wasn't necessarily the biggest deal to us.
Right. Well, and it wouldn't have been a problem for Stu if they didn't do the like zoom in on the door thing. Yeah. Like as if, oh, get ready for the big reveal. Because if she had just played the president and said, hey guys, here's the president, and she'd like walked off the ship and it hadn't been couched like a reveal, that wouldn't have been a problem for anybody. You know what I mean? And like it still could have had all the impact of the casting without the, other people being confused. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's very strange.
So yeah, my American ass, I'm over here going, yeah, cool. But apparently, I'm selfish.
I liked it.
I'm selfish.
I liked it. I like Stacey Abrams, and I was excited to see her on the show. And it was, it's fun. It's just a funny thing, and especially that she's a fan of the show and wanted to be on Star Trek. That makes it all the better for me. But I agree that the zoom in reveal is really annoying to someone who doesn't know who Stacey Abrams is.
Yeah. And I do agree with Stu. I'm tired of the Trump commentary being so on the nose. I get it, but
right.
You know, I mean, I was sick of it when Black Lightning season 1 ended with like a white dude screaming, "Make America Great Again." And I'm like, what are we talking about? Okay, this is a little... And they even made him look like... They had him look like Trump.
Yeah.
And he was the big bad of the season. And I was just like...
And
okay.
I understand... That's the thing is, like, I understand that is a lot of what the allegory is going to be about in today's world.
It's not even an allegory anymore.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I was going to say. Like, it's no longer allegory when you put it so on the nose. I definitely don't mind them tackling these things, and I don't mind the casting things, and it's just kind of like a weird, like laying it out a little too easily or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, instead of like making you think about like your ethical system, they're laying it out where like this particular politician is bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I much prefer like making people think and you know, actually presenting like an interesting case for both sides of where thoughtful, well-rounded characters are coming from without just somebody being the mustache twirling villain like Trump was in real life. So
yes. Yeah, I really, really appreciate a more realistic villain than we got by the last president. You know? There's some TikToker who has like a series on like, it was all during the Trump presidency where he was like, had a series about like why he thinks the writing has gone downhill in America. Like season 200 and whatever of America, the writing's really gone downhill. He's like, really? I mean, no one in their right mind would really do this. It's like the writers are just getting lazy.
That's funny.
It's very good.
Nobody twirls a mustache better than me. I'm the best. Nobody ties women to the train tracks like I do. Number 1 in the world.
Oh man. All right. Well, that's all for us, guys. We appreciate y'all joining us. Thank you for the writing in, Tim and Stu. We have 2 listeners now.
We do.
Thanks, guys, for lighting in for real. And we'll be back next week with more on Picard and whatever else drops.
Yeah.
Peace. Joel and True.
Live long and prosper.
Thank you for listening to the Star Trek Universe Podcast, a Stranded Panda production. If you'd like to hear more from David C. Robertson, check out the DC On Screen podcast or maladjusted.tv for his web videos. If you'd like to hear more from Matthew Carroll, check out the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast or listen to his music. Just search for Matthew Carroll anywhere you get music.